I hope you're at least voting. I think is a great thing. So thank you. And then to start off with a little bit about myself, do I just talk to you? Just just like chilling. Well, I started like 2 years ago, really getting involved. I was in this situation where, I mean, obviously I started, my career started taking off, my work started taking off, and I began to see some success, and that was really wonderful, and but I couldn't really enjoy it fully because, well, one, I miss my family. They are everything to me. They mean the world to me, and I couldn't really share this experience with them in person. But not only that, I started feeling like I wasn't being fully fulfilled because I wasn't really using my platform in the way that I wanted to. And so I started, you get invited to all these different events and all these Latino events, and you're seeing really great Latinos doing a lot of work. And mainly, I saw this one woman who really inspired me. She was working with the ILRC, Immigration Legal Resource Center, and I was really inspired because she was doing a lot of work for immigration reform and for undocumented people, and that really resonated with me. And they say that you can the way you get involved is by connecting with something, truly. And obviously, immigration was a subject that was touchy for me because my family was deported when I was 14. So I had this, and so I really wanted to do something about it. I really wanted to be one of those people who went out and did something and tried to create change, because I feel like that's the only way you can truly find purpose and happiness is by helping others. And I've realized that because for a long time I wasn't very happy. And it was because I was first ashamed of who I was, ashamed of my story, and also didn't feel confident enough to use my voice in the way that I really wanted to, which was I wanted to just, go out there and, the si se puede, and you can't treat us this way, human rights, Black Lives Matter, women's rights, and immigrant rights. And that's the kind of person that I really wanted to be. Yes, I want to be an actor, and yes, I want to care about, the arts, but I also really want to care about social issues. And I care about social issues, so that's how I started. And then one thing led to another, and I mean, the story just blew up, and it happened with one simple move. I just shared my personal story. And who would have thought that there was value in that? Just sharing who you are. There's so much value in that. And I want us to all look at it ourselves and look at our stories and where we come from. It doesn't matter where you come from or what journeys you've taken. They matter. Your story matters, and it's valuable. And look at so much that you can do and how many people can relate to you. It's really powerful. It is. So I started doing that, and then all of a sudden it's like I wrote an op-ed. I did a few interviews. People were appalled. I'm like, y'all don't know that this is happening in America? And it really kind of propelled me forward to do more and more and more. And then I met great people like Ben Monterroso from Mi Familia Vota, who has been such a great support system for me. I mean, we met in Las Vegas. It was the first time that I had spoken out about my story and my life. And like, lo and behold, I get to meet the president with Ben. We met the president. So that's another thing I like to push, is that look at all of the doors that opened for me just by simply being honest about my life. And also, if you want to make a difference, and if you're saying these things for good, because they're not crazy outbursts, and I'm not saying lies, I'm telling the truth. So many things, so many wonderful things can happen. So all these wonderful organizations are now I'm working with. I'm sitting here with you guys, and the work just keeps going and going and going. It is hard, and I am really tired, but I think that, I mean, at the end of the day, it's so fulfilling because I go to bed knowing that at least I tried one more day, and then that gives me strength for the next day, the next day, the next day. But definitely this community has been amazing, the Latino community, the immigrant community, and all these wonderful organizations that have really supported me. And I really do feel like I have a new family, and I just have so much support, and I wouldn't be able to do any of this work without these people. So
that's beautiful. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. So That's beautiful. Like I said, your story really, when I heard your story, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like her sharing her story represents me. So the first time I found out my mom was undocumented was when I was 5 years old. I remember that we had gone on a family trip to Mexico. It was just me, my mom, and my newborn sister. My dad had to stay back and work. And my mom, I remember, she packed so many things, and I was like, why are we taking all our stuff? This is weird. She's like, oh, pues, if we don't come back, she kept saying that. And I was like, why are we gonna come back? It was interesting. So I remember going and coming back, and I remember, I didn't know what the border was. I remember my dad had to pick us up, and my mom separated from us. And I remember that my dad got a call, and he was pacing back and forth a random hotel room, and he was grabbing his head. He looked worried, and I was like, what's happening? It was me crying, a little 3-month-old crying, and it was just he was like, you're gonna see your mom. I was like, where's my mom? And he's like, you're gonna see her later. And I was like, when's later? And he was like, give it time. And I remember we had to sleep that night in that random hotel, and we started driving. And I remember that it was in the morning, and we were at a Payless, and all of a sudden I see my mom running from behind, and she jumps in the car, and she's like, go, go. And I was like, oh, my mom, I was happy. And then, but my dad was like, vámonos, and he just started driving, and my dad started yelling at my mom. He's like, how could you let this happen? You were gonna come back fine. And at that moment, I knew something was wrong. And from that moment on, it started resembling with me that my mom wasn't supposed to be in this country. And after that, it was just back and forth. I remember in 2nd grade getting picked up from school. It was early, it was a regular day. I was getting excited. I had a field trip the next day. I remember my parents picking me up. I was like, I wasn't supposed to get picked up today. I walked towards the front, and I see my mom crying. She's like, vámonos. On the whole car ride, I remember they were driving to ICE. My mom had an order of deportation. Wow. And at that moment, it was just, my mom was crying. So as a little kid, you see your mom cry, so you assume to cry. And I remember that, it was just, we get there and we walk in, and my mom was holding my little sister, and she was holding my hand, and then, an officer had the door open, and he was holding handcuffs. And I just started crying, and then it was they talked about it, and they're like, okay, we're gonna give you 2 more weeks, come back in 2 weeks. And then from there, it was just a back and forth that my mom had a deportation order. And eventually, when there was, I was in 4th grade, they basically just let her be. They let her be in this country. They're like, thank your children, you're here. So for the longest time, I lived with fear. I lived afraid of not knowing what was gonna happen. My mom didn't drive for a really long time. We didn't leave the state. And I remember in high school, I would always go to Mexico, but we never went as a family. It was always me and my sister and my dad. And every time people would be like, I see these pictures, your mom is missing. And I'd be like, no, she had to stay back to work. And I didn't tell people my mom wasn't documented. I was really ashamed of the fact that she was different than everybody else.
Right.
And it wasn't until I came to college that I started, my mom decided, my sophomore year in college, she decided to go back to Mexico. So at that time, it was a really hard moment for me, because I didn't understand what it would feel knowing that my mom would be over 1,000 miles away. So she left in 2012, and since then she's been living in Mexico.
Wow.
She left with my brother and my sister, and my sister actually moved back to Phoenix to go to school, and now my mom's alone. So the only person that's there with my mom is my little brother and her. And I feel a lot of guilt that I didn't go, because I was like, I should have went. But now that I'm older, I'm here fighting, because I know what it feels like to be afraid. I know what it feels like to be lonely. But now I feel that I'm empowered to share my story, because when I started community organizing, it was right when she left. It was in the midst of SB 1070, and I started hearing all these deportations and raids, and I was like, I can only imagine what it would feel like to be able to not see your mom after that moment. So for me, it really when she left, it just really inspired me and moved me to go out there and share, you know, to fight. And I don't know for what I was fighting at the time. I was like, gonna fight, I'm gonna make a difference.
Yeah.
But, now that I look back on all of my struggles, I'm like, if it weren't for, you know, a family that I feel like these people are my family, even though I'm so far away from my mom, my dad, you know, my brother, my sister, I feel like I lost a connection with them.
Yeah.
I feel when I go see them, I'm like, I don't feel like I'm a part of this family because I haven't been around them. When my brother left, he was 4.
Yeah.
Now he's 9, and, you know, I see him like, it's like a distant memory. So I think that definitely my story has really inspired me and motivated me to do this work. And like you said, it's hard work.
It's hard work.
It's really hard. But all of us here in this room, we're all here for, you know, the reason to go out there and fight and, you know, to stop seeing families get separated and, you know, to make people feel that it's okay to say, I've been there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so powerful. That's so powerful that you're sharing your story. Yes. Thank you for sharing your story with me.
Of course.
I don't feel, just hearing you speak, I feel not so alone either. Yeah. You know, because it is really tough to be away from your family and to lose that connection. I know what that is. But it's so powerful that you're taking your story and you're doing this work. That is so redeeming. It's so redeeming for your family and for you, and it's gonna all pay off. I know it is. I know it is.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, man.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a hard work. It's a big fight, but we're here to fight.
We have to do it. We have to do it. It's so important, you know. And we cannot stop the work. You know, the sooner we go back to apathy, being apathetic, and being comfortable, that's the scary thing, right? When you're saying like, okay, well, we didn't see our efforts be realized fast enough. You know, things aren't happening fast enough, so I'm just going to give up this work. You cannot give up this work, right? We cannot be apathetic. We have to keep pushing. We have to hold the people that we are electing accountable. We need to vote. That matters, right? We need to really, really participate, and this is the time to. And like we've seen, kind of everything come to a crux. I think people's opinions and people's fears are on the table. And now we have to have them there. We can't let them go, you know, we can no longer just whisper immigration or undocumented. No, you have to say immigration, undocumented. We have to fix these problems. We need a path for citizenship. We cannot have families separated anymore.
We can.
Right? We're done? Yes. She's telling me to cut it. Cut it out.
If we get a picture with you and Stephanie, that would be great though.
Is there more stories?
Yeah, if you want to hear more stories, absolutely.
I know, I was just wondering if that's happening. I don't know. Ben's like, no, get out of here. I have this ugly cup here, sorry. Gracias, Ben. My best friend, everybody.
Rápidamente nos podías decir en español un rapidito por qué tú invitas a la gente a votar y a registrarse a votar este próximo 10 de octubre.
Bueno, los invito porque es nuestra responsabilidad. Creo que si estamos en este país tenemos que participar lo más que podamos para ser representados, ¿no? Para que no nos dejen al lado, para que no nos saquen de la historia americana, porque somos tan parte de la fibra de este país, y si no votamos y si no participamos no nos van a escuchar. Entonces, así de simple. Bueno, gracias. And the awkward moment.
Okay.
And
Diane, I wasn't really sure in terms of the whole program, but we have about a half an hour for questions, or if anybody prefers to have pictures with Diane, because we need to go to the airport. And really, we need to go out 2:30, the latest.
if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer.
Not that we're going to be rude to anybody, but at 2:30, whoever or whatever, we need to get out.
And if anything, more like if your organization, so it's like less time consuming, we can have each org have a picture.
That would be good.
I have a video that a bunch of our volunteers took for you last night. So I don't know if I can come show it to you.
Yeah. You have a video for me?
Yes.
Oh, dope.
So,
Let her through, let her through.
I want to make sure that you know you have like a few minutes.
It's just like they like absolutely love you, and a lot of them their parents are undocumented. Hold on, let me play it one more time. It's so you can hear it. There you go. Would you be?
It's amazing.
Would you be able to just take like
A video for them to kind of just say.
real
Yeah,
quick?
sure. And what's this?
You can do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you be able to say "We love you, case action" or "I love you, case action"?
Case action?
Yes.
I love you, Case Action. Thank you so much for all your hard work. Keep up the good work. Sí, se